Dark academia is a literary genre that is supposed to be a love letter to the pursuit of knowledge, the seductive pull of intelligential obsessions, and the all consuming madness that comes with it. Ideally, these books should make you feel like you're being dragged into a candlelit, dust covered library, where someone is always on the verge of reciting the wasteland before committing a murder. And yet, most of the time, what we actually get is a moody college student with vague aspirations of scholarship who likes wearing turtlenecks and being cryptic. Dark academia often feels like it's designed by someone who skimmed the secret histories once and thought, yeah, that, but more aesthetic. And look, the secret histories is great. But if an entire genre is just people trying and failing to rewrite the secret histories in different fonts, we have a problem. So, where do most dark academia books go wrong? Let's get into it. If you enjoy watching my slow descent into creative breakdown, consider supporting my continued descent into that said madness. Leave a comment, it fuels my fragile sense of self worth. Subscribe, because watching me struggle in real time is probably entertaining. And join my Patreon, YouTube memberships, or Substack. Your support helps me justify my life choices and possibly my entire existence. The aesthetics of dark academia is always there, the shadowy hallways, the dramatic Latin poise, and the candlelit study sessions. But when you actually read some of those books, the academic elements are barely skin deep. Where's the where's the elitist intelligence rigor? Where's the obsession with an obscure philosophical concept that sends the protagonist spiraling to madness? Where's the actual engagement with literature and academia beyond just quoting something pretentious in an italic font? Many dark academia books treat academia as a set piece rather than the driving force of the story. The characters are usually students, but do they even actually study, or are they just lurking in libraries, being vaguely pretentious and occasionally committing murders? Spoiler, it's usually the second one, and dark academia should make you feel smarter just by reading it. But if the academic part of the book feels like it was copy and pasted from a Wikipedia summary of said Plato, we have a problem. There's a difference between characters who are truly obsessed with knowledge and characters who are just sounding smart. The best dark academia books give us protagonists who are consumed by their studies, and in a way that is unhealthy and destructive, and fascinating to watch. Think Victor Frankenstein. His passion for science turns him into a raving, guilt-ridden wreck who creates life and then immediately regrets it. That's real academic obsession. Now compare that to your average dark protagonist, whereas depth mostly consists of usually quoting Plato in conversation and drinking a lot of coffee. If a book wants to be truly dark academia, the characters should be driven by a fixation so deep that it leads to their downfall. A real dark academia protagonist shouldn't just read books, they should be consumed by their studies to a level that they're willing to ruin their own lives for them. Dark academia is supposed to, well, be dark. We're talking obsession, existential dread, academic anxiety, and maybe a little murder. But too many books treat the dark part as nothing more than an aesthetic choice. They throw in a little light arson or a dramatic death, but there's no real emotions or psychological weight to it. The best dark academia books don't just have murders, they have murder that haunts the character forever. They don't just stress over their finals, they have full blown academic breakdowns that call into question the very nature of knowledge and existence, and their own existence. A real dark academia book should feel like an intelligent horror story where the pursuit of knowledge comes at terrible prices. If your biggest struggle is that your professor gave you a B plus on an essay, you're not suffering enough for the genre. Now, academia is brutal. It glorifies it, but doesn't address its horrors. It's full of gatekeepers, classism, impossible expectations, and the kind of stress that makes people lose sleep for weeks. The best dark academia books acknowledge this. The worst ones treat it as nothing more than a moody backdrop for a secret society and morally ambiguous friendships. Real academics isn't just look at those brilliant young minds discussing poetry over an overpriced bottle of wine. It's also academic elitism. Who gets access to knowledge? Who gets shut out? Corruption. What happens when the pursuit of knowledge is controlled by people with their own agendas? And mental and emotional breakdowns, because sometimes knowledge destroys you. A book that truly understands dark academia should make you feel the weight of the academia. The highs, yes, but also the exhaustion, the self doubt, the crippling paralyzation of anxiety, and the crushing realization that no amount of knowledge will ever be enough. Now, I'm going to say this The Secret Histories by Donatar is one of my favourite books. It's in my top 10, and it has been since I was a teenager. I think the book is beautiful. But if you've read one too many dark academia books, you start noticing a pattern. A group of pretentious, morally dubious students at an elite school, a charismatic professor who encourages their worst tendencies, a murder that shatters everyone, and long poetic descriptions of cigarette smoke and snow. And look, that's fine, but it's been done, and done better. Where are the dark academia novels set outside of the elite universities? Where's the book that actually dives into Western philosophy instead of just rehashing the same Wikipedia based references? Where's the story about an obsession that doesn't just involve murder? The genre has so much potential, but too many books settle for being the secret histories with minor variations on the theme. Dark academia at its best should be more than just a murder mystery with a Latin quote thrown in. The best books in the genre should also be exploring academia as well as the all consuming force. It's not just a backdrop. Make knowledge feel dangerous, seductive, and even destructive. Go beyond just the aesthetics and actually engage with the ideas. Show the real struggles, both in brilliance and its brutality. Dark academia isn't just about looking like an intellectual. It's about the cost of an intellectual obsession, the exhaustion, the agony of knowing too much, of questioning everything, never being able to go back to being ignorant or ignored. So if you're writing a dark academia book, put down the aesthetic mood board and ask yourself, would my protagonist be willing to destroy themselves for knowledge? If the answer is no, maybe just write something else at this point, because it's been done to death.